I didn't. I think Eric Gordon should have won. Fair score.
All right, more on this in a bit. But first, Florida-Arkansas Gator freshman Scotty Lewis makes the acrobatic layup, lands on his back.
Better yet, the Florida with the throwback uniform.
Wow.
Flips
The only
right
problem
up
with
onto
the Florida
his feet.
throwback uniforms are those the uniforms they won when I played my last college game in 2000. They beat us in series.
I wish I could do
How'd you
that.
play? Good game?
No, it's terrible.
Wow.
Dayton VCU Fighters junior Jalen Crutcher skies towards the rim for the one-handed
How
jam.
about Dayton?
Dayton's nice.
Man.
They are
You got
legit.
Dayton, Baylor, San Diego State. Like,
Yes.
we got some.
Yes, everybody says there's no great teams. No, the traditional names are not as
Right.
good. Throw Gonzaga in that mix, and those are the best teams.
Speaking of Baylor, Oklahoma, Baylor junior Mark Vital destroys the rim here.
Oh! And that's all Mark Vital does. It's just, go ahead, throw it up there, I'll go get it. Baylor's got 3-4 dudes that can score in the perimeter, and they got Vital to clean it up inside.
And they defend.
And they match up. They play Kansas, biggest game of the college basketball season in Waco this Saturday.
Who you got?
KU Baylor. Ooh. Baylor smacked them last time in Lawrence. I'll take Baylor again.
Moving on to the Astros, the team has received a plethora of backlash stemming from their sign-stealing scandal. It's even crossing sports. LeBron James chiming in, the king tweeting this out. Listen, I know I don't play baseball, but I am in sports, and I know if someone cheated me out of winning the title and I found out about it, I would be expletive irate. I mean, like uncontrollable about what I could do. Listen here, baseball commissioner. Listen to your players. Speaking today about how disgusted, mad, hurt, broken, etc. they are about this. Literally, the ball is in your court, or should I say field, and you need to fix this for the sake of sports. Wow. Those are big words, Doug. How does baseball move on from this?
I just think they got to let the games begin. That's the problem with it. How do you move on when there's no reason? You're going to have, obviously, spring training games, and you're going to have some balls being thrown at some of these Houston Astros players. You have Nick Markakis saying these guys, I couldn't tell, did he say they need a beaning or a beating? Everybody says it sounded like beating, but it might have been beaning because it wasn't a strong T. It was kind of like a hard-hitting New Britain, right? He didn't really enunciate the right syllable.
Beaning
anyway,
makes more sense
I hope
in
he
baseball.
wasn't saying beaning, though.
but that's
could
what's
get
going to happen.
dangerous.
How do they move on? While I agree with LeBron and I have no problem, like this idea that he can't comment about baseball when he's a basketball player.
I love it.
Right? You're not supposed to be a sports fan?
I hate staying your lane.
On the other hand,
comments on
but
all
sports
types of
sports is his
Beyond
lane,
sports,
right?
right.
You'd rather non-professional athletes or other mooks on TV that have never played a sport comment, but he can't comment. So I have no problem with commenting. It's just the reality of it. Like, yes, listen to your players. I think that to me is the part that's most astounding about this scandal. Is that, and because you cover it for the MLB Network, right? Is that you go back to steroids, any other controversy, players never speak out about other players, especially in baseball. It's the tightest union there is, and they're in a CBA negotiation right now. And other players, like Mike Trout, had something to say. I'm an Angel fan, okay? Mike Trout has never had anything to say about anything, ever. And Mike Trout's like, if I hit a game-winning home run to win the World Series, you got no problem you taking off my shirt. Direct shot across the bow to Jose Altuve. And when you have star players, obviously the Dodgers are ticked, that's going to happen. Obviously Aaron Judge, who feels like his MVP was robbed from, that's going to happen. But you have guys that have no dog in the fight, nothing, and they're commenting. That to me signals you have a problem, but I just don't know what Manfred can do. His hands are tied. There's still a month before baseball's played. And then once games are played and guys throw at the Houston Astros, do you suspend those players when you didn't suspend the Astros for participating in this scandal? I think they're he's between a rock and a hard place.
I think the reason that, as you said, this is very unusual, especially for baseball. And Manfred's whole issue was, I can't, punish the players because I can't go against the union. But yet members of the union, the players, are going against members of the union, the players. So and I think it's because the baseball union has always looked out for the interests of all the players. Right. Not just the superstars, not just a select few, all of them. And they are looking at this like, You took jobs away from some guys. You took contracts away from some guys.
So did steroids, though. This is the whole thing. Like,
well, let's stick with where we're at right now. And so I think that's why the players are so upset, is because guys, lost jobs because of this. Now, I do think there's something he can do. He can't suspend players. They won't beat the union in that regard. And there was a great article in The Athletic yesterday about how even the legalities of it, because the players weren't informed by the league about the repercussions of doing what they did directly. Like, there's no chance you would win in a court of law or anything like that against the players.
Even if he had not granted immunity, you're saying, yeah.
Right. That's what the article was saying, and lawyers and things like that. So let's say they can't do anything against the players. To me, and I've been beating this drum since the report came out.
Trash can.
Vacate
the trash can.
Right. Yes. Vacate the title. Vacate the title. In my view, that solves everything. Number one, you're not punishing players, you're punishing the organization. So I don't think the union should have much to do with that. Even if the union does have a say, I think the response of many of the players around the league would say that the union would be like, you know what, go ahead, vacate that title. So that you vacate the title, I think you can work around the union. Number two, it satisfies everyone's thirst for justice. That's why we're so upset, because there's no justice. We've seen people do wrong. Michael Vick did wrong. People were all upset about it, went to jail, paid the price, and now he's out and people like him. Right. So we want justice, and there's no justice been served, so it satisfies that thirst. I think a lot of the players around the league would be like, okay, they lost their rings. They lost their trophy, their piece of metal, so to speak. They lost their, they're no longer champions. They can't walk around and say we're champions. It's not, when you go to baseballreference.com, it's not World Series champion on there. It's erased. And I think, Doug, we know in college sports, the Fab Five, they didn't make the Final Four, right? Reggie Bush didn't win the Heisman. We all remember it. I still consider Reggie Bush a Heisman Trophy winner.
Of course he is.
However, the difference is that the violations that he did, that the Fab Five in Michigan did, they were off the field. They had nothing to do with the actual competition. In this case, this was all about the competition. Your cheating ruined the competition of the game on the field. So I really, if they took away the championship, took away all, and I like if they could take away the money too. It was like $429,000 per player.
Right. You ain't getting the money.
If they, the bonus
is not letting you get the money.
I'd love if they could get the money, just take it out of their checks, their next
What are they
checks.
supposed to do? Go into each of their homes and physically take the ring
all you
back?
do is when they get their next checks, you take that money out of the checks. You can even do it per week. You can do it one fell swoop, however you want to do it, but take the money out of their checks. Maybe they can't do that. Yeah. I think you can try.
Can I make 3 quick points that I thought Rob Manfred addressed pretty well yesterday in his process? He did apologize for the trophy comment, which
that's ridiculous.
It's you
can't belittle your own trophy like that.
No, but
he said it was in reference. He was trying to make a point,
right?
Kind of making.
And I actually think when you listen to
know better than that.
But when you listen to it in totality, I don't think it was as bad in a short soundbite. I agree it was a mistake, but like Justin Turner saying take the commissioner's name off the trophy. Listen to the he was talking about the symbolism
taken out of context,
which I actually agree with you. You take them off. You take their name off the trophy. But go ahead.
The point I'm making is he said, in reference to the players making all these comments, he said it was your union that said we cannot punish the players. He was getting nowhere in the investigation. They started the investigation. They weren't getting any answers. They wanted clarity. They went to the players union, said we need cooperation from your players. They came back and said, okay, are you going to punish the players? He said we can't rule that out. So they went back to them and they said, okay, what if we give immunity to a small list of players for their cooperation? The players union said no. Unless you give immunity to all of the players on the team, we are not cooperating. Our players are not cooperating. So when Aaron Judge and Justin Turner and Nick Markakis speak out about not punishing the players, their own union fought for that. And so Manfred's hands were tied there. The no retaliation thing Manfred has made clear, and they've had meetings, he said, with all the field managers, all the baseball managers, if there's retaliation, there's going to be punishments because you are endangering people's health.
That's going to look even worse.
Well, I get it. It certainly will.
Here's do you want more?
And one more point, vacating the title. He said, look, I thought about vacating the title long and hard. It's never been done. There's no precedent in baseball. You could break precedent, yes. But what you think about when the 2017 Astros, you said yesterday, you think in 4 years people are going to forget about it? I don't think people are going to forget about it. Are people going to forget that Barry Bonds took steroids? Nobody's forgetting about that.
Yes, but nobody,
there is not an asterisk
there's no
on
asterisk
his
by
name.
There should be.
There shouldn't.
But
There should be.
everyone assumes there.
No.
Everyone associates an asterisk.
Erase it.
You don't have to put an asterisk there because everyone's already putting the
Erase it.
asterisk
They
there.
shouldn't be viewed as champions.
No, just put an asterisk by it. I think an asterisk is even better because
better than vacating the title?
Yes, because the asterisk, then when you look it up or you tell, then it becomes the story. Why is there an asterisk there? Then you kind of you tell the story. I think either way, it is a symbolic gesture. I think that's where he missed. The symbolic gesture is much bigger. Hey, we do remember. Nothing we can kind of do. The other mistake I believe he made was he cowered to the union by keeping it all of this discussion about the fact that the Astros, those players would not disclose anything that went on until they were granted full immunity. That should have been made public right then and there. You could have created public sentiment to support you. Like, hey, listen, I'm Rob Manfred. I want to get to the bottom of this, but the Houston Astros won't play ball, and the MLBPA won't allow us to do so unless we grant full immunity. We don't think that's the right thing to do. You didn't leverage the power of the commissioner's office against the Astros. You bowed down to him. And had you done that, or simply, hey, listen, if you don't want to talk, that's fine. We're going to suspend the entire operation for a year. And I guarantee you would have had pressure from the owner, who's an idiot for what he said about it not helping their performance. You would have had the pressure for them to talk. He didn't put the pressure points, and I do understand that the union is powerful and the union supported its players, but I think this thing was mishandled because we were kept in the dark as the investigation until it was done, and the public would have supported him and made those players talk. Perhaps,
but you might be overstating or understating the importance of just clubhouse pressure in baseball, and it's one of those things that what stays inside the clubhouse, you don't talk about
until
it.
Now.
Do you remember when the report first came out? And a lot of people were jumping on Mike Fiers saying he shouldn't have talked.
Yes.
A lot of people, including people in the media and players, were saying it doesn't sit right with me that he talked. Now people are saying, oh, good for him for talking. It's cleaning up the sport, and those players need to be punished.